Hey everybody, it's Jochen Heiden here, and I'm back with the Hellsen versus Heiden campaign. This is our scenario 2, played by email. This is the 18th of December, 1941, turn 12, combat replay and analysis. So, a couple things that I'm looking forward to on this turn is to see how we're going to do against the subs that are preying on my convoys coming out of LA, because that's a huge problem. And then, I'm curious where the Kido Butai is going to go in the Coral Sea, Solomon Sea area, because he's got one sitting real close to Port Moresby, and I don't know where he's going. So let's watch this thing and see what he decides to do this turn. Anybody's guess. Okay, here we go. December 18th, 1941. Let's see what Hellsen's got in store for us today. All right, so he just connected the dots here on Luzon. Okay, unloading at Kavieng. As far as supplies. Alright, so Tambor, which I have off the coast of Japan, just took a shot at a subchaser, and we missed. These subchasers are pretty dangerous because they carry a lot of weapons. A lot of ASW weapons. Alright. So actually he had two subchasers here. The Tambor misses him. But they miss him too. Wow, look at that. Oh, thank goodness. Woo. Okay. Alright, so man, Hellsen is not messing around with these subs. He's got them off of every major base we've got. That's we got lucky with that. Oh man. Well, I just took it for granted, that he wouldn't be this far this quickly, but he's pushed up in here because he knows that we're using this route. So this AKL is a gunner. These big Japanese subs carry huge guns. These 440 millimeter guns are almost 6-inch guns, 5.5-inch guns. So that ship is absolutely gonna sink. Well, it should sink. And he continues to pursue us, but this is actually a good thing that's going on here. Oh, hey! Hey, look at this! Hey! We got some damage on this thing. I tried something different here with my task forces, and I think it's paying dividends. We'll talk about this in the analysis, but yeah, that worked out exactly the way I wanted it to. ASW attack near San Luis Obispo, which really it isn't. We're 1,000 miles away from San Luis Obispo. But yeah, so we hit the I-7. It said critical damage, so I don't know how critical it is. If we hear something sink this turn, it's probably that. Man, that worked good. Okay, there goes the Pacific. Okay, he's got a fast transport task force unloading at Manus. Probably using APDs or something like that. Kavieng, more unloading, and now he's grabbing these dot islands too. Wow, man, he is just not wasting any time at all. Capturing every little base he can. This guy does not mess around. Okay, more of the same stuff that we've seen before. Aha! This is working out great. Nice! We got another hit onto it. right. So it looks like my new escort method is working very, very well. The I-7 not only was unable to shoot at us, we've hit it twice now. So really, really cool that this is working out the way that I want it to. So good job, guys. That should at least scare him off. Okay, now this is one of our subs, which unfortunately pushed into some shallow water. I don't know why. This could be very bad for us. These sub chasers, like I mentioned earlier, are very dangerous to our subs. I don't recall giving any orders for a Dutch sub to go into shallow water like this, so I'm going to really have to look at it and figure out why the K-10 decided to go where it's at, off of Pesco, as suicide, operating in here with subs in shallow water. So we somehow dodge a bullet here and don't take any hits, but we really should have. That was a close one. I need to fix that. Oh, good. So we're at Pago Pago now, and we are here to deliver supplies because I've got those stranded B-17s here. We need supply on Pago Pago, and obviously the I-169 has something to say about it. It did fire 4 torpedoes and miss at the destroyer Mari. Uh-huh. Wow. He is not wasting any time. Okay. This is a strike on the runway at Clark, and he's just trying to keep us from building it up. Okay, same thing. Getting some hits on the runway. The supply hits are something we can't come back from either, because we get no more supply on Luzon. He's sending tons of bombers there. Not doing too much damage though. Must be the heavy rain. And just non-stop bombing. And he's sweeping. We don't have any fighters here though, so. Bombing this unit that's retreating along the rail line here towards Sion. And then the Lusu War area is getting hit again. This unit that's retreating, getting hit by some sallies. Same thing. Decent hits on that one. This rate does very little because we're up in the mountains up here. Alright, he's striking Temelo to try to keep us from building forts there. He's already in the hex too. Another bombing raid on this unit up here on the rail line. Severe storms helping us out a lot. Same thing. And again. Okay, that should be the AM phase. Not too bad. Ah! Gotta get that guy out of there. Okay, and then hitting Timolo again, softening it up for an attack. Nothing too earth-shattering here right now, really. I could take turns like this. Wow, I'll take that any day of the week, man. We got off pretty easy on this one. Can't complain. I'm really surprised we didn't see the Kido Butai in action this turn. Thank goodness. Whew. Okay, I-169 is going to start running out torpedoes at this rate. See if we can do some damage to this guy. Oh, there we got a hit there. Oh, got another hit. Nice. Oh, yeah, that's the kind of stuff we like to see. Fires below decks. The last time that we saw that, one of his ships sank, or one of his what do you call it? One of his subs sank the next turn because of fires. So, doesn't say it's on fire here, but I think we caused enough damage that we're going to scare him off. So, good job. He wastes 4 more torpedoes, and we hit him. Hopefully, it dries him out so we can do what we got to do at Pago Pago. Come on. Come on. Come on. What? Hey, whoa, 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 whoa. What's going on here? What? Why are we not shooting back? I don't understand what's going on here. Help me understand what's going on here. This Dutch sub is just getting shot at by this AKL and it's not returning fire. Why is that? That's very frustrating. Okay, that's... So what would be the point of that exactly? So let's surface, let's attack this thing, and let's get shot up by it and do nothing. What a waste. Now, we'll be lucky if we save this one. That took a lot of hits. I'm very disappointed in that. When that captain gets back to port, if he ever gets back to port, he's fired. Unacceptable. That was our big chance to hit something and he wasted it. Wow. It's rare that you see Dutch subs perform that poorly, but that one did. Alright, so he's taking Caviang, which is, undefended. He already pulled the troops out of there. With the absolute bare minimum of force necessary. Look at that. He's using these tiny little nothings to take these bases because he knows that he can. And he grabs a couple points every time. All things considering, this was a pretty quiet turn. And, I can't complain about that. We need time. That's something that I don't have is time. Because he's been so aggressive so quickly. So every day that we have a quiet turn like this is the day we get our act together. Because it's just been rough since the start of this thing for me to kind of get my footing. So I'll take a day like this anytime. Okay, got a couple ships coming in here. That's a transfer. That's a new unit. Okay, well, not bad. Let's take a look at the numbers on this. Okay, we're back with the intel on this. Let's take a look here. Pretty frustrating turn as far as the Dutch sub captains go, but we'll get to that. Okay, aircraft losses this turn, 0 to 4 in our favor. He's reporting 2 Babs lost, a Betty, and a 0 of our losses. So at least in this campaign, despite the awful ship losses we've taken, we're not doing too bad on the air-to-air side. At least we're not too far ahead of him in terms of losses. Obviously, no pilots were lost here. We will take a quick look, though, at if we have any wounded pilots that need to be checked on. So we'll do that right now. Okay, we got this British guy. We're going to send him to reserve. Got an ABG pilot that we can hopefully resuscitate a couple of them. All right. Looking at the reserve pool, we do have a Dutch bomber pilot who's not coming back, so we're going to retire him. And 1 American fighter pilot, which was a big loss to me. Look at the experience level, 63. Dupuy, you're retired. Got this guy here, Probst, he's out. And a recon pilot with only 1 mission. Oh, he's okay. All right, so there we go. We've policed up all of our wounded pilots for the turn. All right, continuing on here. Army lost points are what they are. I think they went up a little bit this turn, but not anything crazy. Allied ships sunk. Looking at ships this last turn. Well, look at this. So we have the Pacific, which was the ship that was lost near Seattle, which is entirely my fault. I've been very complacent with ASW efforts there, and we'll take a look at that. But we're actually reporting the sinking of the I-7. So I'm curious where we got that information from. This is a big sub, okay? This is one of the largest subs that the Japanese have. If you look at the numbers here, the endurance is fantastic, good speed, carries a big old gun, and a lot of these killer torpedoes, and it has a very large victory value for a sub, and we're reporting it as sunk. So we'll have to look into this a little bit more, and I'll show you where I think that was at. I'm not entirely convinced that it has sunk, but that's what we're getting right now. And if that's true, this is a big loss for him because these are very good long-range subs that are easily employed on the west coast of the United States for us. So if this is true, I'm really happy about it, but we'll need to really look at it some more. Okay, so it's still showing 2 Japanese ships sunk. Actually, we're showing 3 because this one is not confirmed. I don't know where the truth is at. We'll have to wait and see. So there's our score. He's quickly closing the gap on us, like fast. Okay. So let us just start with the. Oh yeah, SIGINT. Take a look here. Got a lot of troops in Saigon. So he's moving troops. Look at this. He's moving troops to Saigon. And why is he moving them to Saigon? So he can get them into Burma quicker. Something at Babel. We'll need to look at that. When you have 2 consecutive mentions of heavy radio volume traffic at a base, you're guaranteed to have some really good intel there. So we'll take a look at that shortly. All right. Looking at the ops report. I'll briefly scroll through this and see if there's anything of note here. A lot of our subs getting sighted by the enemy. That's not good. That means we need to find a better place to employ them. The Pacific is sunk. That's funny, right? The Pacific sinks in the Pacific. Okay, looking through here. A lot of sightings. He captures Kavieng and Emirau Island. All right, so we got our Canadian Kitty Hawks getting more aircraft. That's always a good thing. Nothing really noteworthy. No mention of the actual I-7 sinking. So I don't believe it. Look at the combat report. We can get a good look at what he's doing with his minesweepers. So he's basically got all the mines cleaned up at Hong Kong, and that port's more or less open for business now for him. You can see here we no longer see our mines in place. He's taking them all down. All right, so situation in China. We continue to retreat back towards Xi'an, and he's got this unit coming in right behind us, and he's bombing this guy to slow him down. See how we're in combat mode? We want these guys in move mode, right? Because they move faster. And he's chasing us. He's probably going to chase us all the way to Xi'an. Down here we have the vanguard of our units with more coming in to open up a pathway for these guys to retreat in the following turns. I would love to get these guys out of here. It's about 400 AV. We'll retreat to Nanyang and figure out the next place to go. We continue to filter into Wenchao. It's looking fine. Still dealing with some port damage and stuff here, which is preventing us from building anything else. So we need to get this knocked down. And from there, we can start building up the fortification level again. Wenchao's on really good terrain, so a size 3 fort on rough terrain is actually going to help us quite a bit and make it very difficult to take this base. Other than that, we're just kind of waiting for his overall strategy to formulate here. We don't really know what else he's got in store. I'm sure he will be making a strong push in the north. Over here in Burma, things aren't looking so hot. He's got tons of troops moving in all directions. See that? Now he's moving to just block these roads and all this stuff here. So he's coming for Rangoon and Burma very early, and he's going to beat us to the punch because he took Singapore so quickly. He has a lot of troops freed up to be working up here now, and we do know that he's moving troops into Saigon. We saw in the SIGINT that he's got at least 2 large units moving to Saigon, and from Saigon he's probably going to march them to here, to Phnom Penh, and then rail them up to Sihanoukville and march them into Burma. That's my guess. So we will not have a Burma to operate from for much longer. I can just tell already. Nothing else to report in the Bay of Bengal right now. We're still getting our act together, getting ships moved around, doing what we can, but I'm already kind of writing off Burma for dead, and I'm looking for other places to defend in India, because that's where he should be coming next. So he's in Temalo here in Malaya. He just won a battle here. I think it's at this hex with these garbage Royal Thai Army guys. He's also in this hex here, so we're doing what we can to block stuff, but it's just a matter of time before he takes all this stuff out, because he's got all these troops now moving north from Singapore, and they're freed up to do whatever they want to do. Seems to have some more troops here. I don't really know what's going on with this cruiser task force at Sinkawang. Not really sure what they're trying to do. Maybe they're bringing in more troops and this is just misidentified, but this is quite a powerful unit if that's what that is. Really quiet out here in Java for the time being, so we're going to take this opportunity to get these guys out. So we got 17,000 fuel left Palembang, which is excellent. We got more fuel loading up on this side. So we're definitely draining all the fuel we can out of this place before we lose it. Same thing in Java. We've depleted quite a bit of fuel out of here. You know, no complaints about that. So really, all the fuel on Java is down to about 50,000 fuel on this whole island, which is quite a bit removed. And we're going to be making some more runs in there while we can. We have an additional 26,000 that we're taking out of here pretty soon. So there won't be a whole lot of fuel left on Java when we're done with it. Not that it's a huge concern for the Japanese on Scenario 2. They have a lot more fuel to start with. So they're not in the same kind of time crunch as they would be on Scenario 1. Looking up here, we did spot this guy. This task force moving southwest. So my guess he's moving down this way to interdict more shipping while he can. In the Philippines, it's been really quiet, kind of like eerily quiet. We see a little bit of movement here. This base got captured due to proximity, so he now has a pathway to get into Manila, but he won't get in there before some more damage is done due to the lack of garrison. But it won't take him too long to take it. But I kind of like what he's doing here. In my other campaign, Lodric went really hard and fast and heavy in the Philippines, and with the exception of a very effective bombing campaign, I don't see the same commitment of troops by Hellsen, because I think he knows that there's no real rush on the Philippines. He doesn't need to take it right now. He can use those troops in other places. He can let Clarkfield and Bataan stay intact for 6 months. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need the Philippines. We're not going to be putting more troops in here, right? I'm not going to be operating ships out of here. So like, what's the sense of urgency? I got a lot of troops tied up here, and that's about it. They can't leave the island because they're all restricted. So I like what he's doing. He's keeping us contained, and he knows that we can't really go anywhere. So no rush. I like it. At Babel, remember how we had all the good intel? Well, here we can see exactly what he's got. 8 fighters, 3 bombers, and 12 auxiliary planes, and a bunch of ships in port. I now regret not having some bombers here because, man, we could smash Babel with the port strike if we had the base available to do it with. Look at all those ships there. Oh, it's a smorgasbord of free ship kills if we had B-17s in a place where they could strike, but we don't. So Babel gets a pass, but it still is pretty cool to get this intel here, you know? Allied SIGINT for the win. Other than that, Australia's been pretty dang quiet, right? We're just moving a bunch of ships in with fuel. Unloading fuel, dumping quite a bit into Perth, with more on the way. Actually, I think some of these guys might be heading back for more. Yeah, that's what it looks like. We're sending more ships up there to grab more fuel because why not? We'll do it while we can. So out here in this part of the world, on eastern Australia, it's still been pretty quiet. We're taking this lull in the action to get some ships into the Maya, move some troops, get some mines laid, get some supply in here, start building it up. Same at Luganville. We got another day to get more supply, get more troops unloaded in here while we can, and then we got to bounce, because this is the situation now. He's being very aggressive with his taking of all of these bases up here in the Bismarck Sea, and also he's already looks like he's making a move for Finchhafen, right? So he'll probably be landing here next turn. We've got him taking all these bases to the north. And here's the Kido Butai just hanging out. They have not moved one bit last turn, so they may just be kind of chilling to support these operations here, or he's gonna strike. Like from here, let's see, from Luganville to here, for example, is only 25 hexes. He can move a maximum of 18 hexes per day, which would put him about there, right? And some of his aircraft have the strike capability of flying off that far away. So if he wants to full speed down here in a turn, we stand the risk of losing a lot at Luganville. So I need to make a decision on how bad I want to keep this place. Do you see the detection levels being what they are? That's because we're being spotted by something. Probably a sub or a aircraft from a sub. But he knows that we're here and he's got good eyes on it, right? So there's no secret about what we're doing here. We're unloading all these units while we can. But again, the Kido Butai is one full speed move away from hitting Luganville and all the ships here. So I'm really thinking hard about how I want to get out of here. And of course, that's got Port Moresby locked down, right? Because we can't really move. I've moved a bunch of aircraft out of Port Moresby because I just don't want them to get struck on the ground and lost. But he's definitely keeping everything pinned down here, which is really smart, and I would do it too. But this represents a significant chunk of the Kido Butai. Probably 4 of the 6 carriers that he's got is my estimate. Maybe even 5 of them. I don't know. So a couple other things I want to point out to you. We do have this situation here. We're trying to get supply on the Pago Pago. We did get a shipment in, because if you look here, we're finally getting some of these B-17s repaired. So that's great. So this ship here is now docked and is going to be unloading the Kailua. I've got more on the way, and I've got some destroyers that can actually put up an ASW attack to try to pin down this sub, because I don't want to lose any ships to this guy. We have to get some supply into Pago Pago to make it viable. Now, let's talk about this thing real quick. So out here, I believe it's either this task force. It's this task force here. I believe this is where we may have sunk the I-7. So let's look at the combat reports real quick. Let's see if we can track down the I-7. Okay, so the I-7 was engaged by, okay, the Hatfield and the Gilmer. Let's find that. Not that. Not that. Right here. It was engaged by this task force right here. Um, so it happened this far out. And the game is telling us that we sank the sub. I remember we hit it and we saw something about it was on fire and this and that, but I don't know if we took enough damage to actually sink it. So I-7. I-7. So we hit it twice, okay? We hit it twice. I just don't know what kind of damage we did to it to make us think that we sank it. I don't think we did. We probably damaged it. But what I am doing here, which seems to have worked, is that I put an ASW task force out front, and I have the convoy following it. So hopefully the front-facing part of this thing is the ASW task force, and then these guys do all the hunting, and they are the ones that take the torpedoes first before the convoy. And it appears to have worked. I mean, we got the upper hand on the I-7 twice. Enough for us to think that we sank it, right? So I'm going to continue employing this tactic on all these task forces here, and we'll see if it works. Up here, somewhere in this hex region is where we lost the Pacific, and we suffered another attack by I-25. It was somewhere in here. This was the task force that was actually attacked. I have neglected my ASW work up here because I just didn't think he'd get up here so fast, but apparently he did. And he knows that we have to come through this channel to get in and out of Seattle, and he correctly deduced that. So now I'm going to have to figure out some escort for all of these things coming in and out of here and try to employ some ASW aircraft to spot them, because I need Seattle open to feed Alaska and everything else we've got going on up here. Overall, I would say that Hellsen's employment of subs has been excellent so far. And he's aided by the fact that he gets to watch my Lodric videos, and he kind of has an idea of how I like to do things. So he has appropriately placed the subs in the right places. The last thing I'll show you is that we do still actually have sub activity off of Hawaii. I thought he'd moved them all away, but apparently he hasn't. So we've got one here. We will get this convoy in safely, but only by a narrow margin. I kind of expected his subs to have gone, but he left a couple here. Anyway, other than that, the last thing I want to say is this guy over here is fired, man. Do you recall that Dutch sub that got engaged on the surface? Okay, it got shot up by a Japanese AKL, and it was just absolutely embarrassing. Let me see if I can find the actual engagement. Where was it at? I felt like it was kind of late into the turn. Oh, right here. The Juba Maru. I don't know what was going on here, but we sighted it. We attacked it on the surface, but did nothing. Norden decides to submerge due to damage, but this captain here didn't fire a torpedo or a gun, nothing. He did absolutely nothing, and all he did was get his ship damaged. Now we lost some torpedoes here. Okay. This guy is fired. Look at this. Look at this juicy task force. Okay, a bunch of AKLs unescorted, and he let them all get by. This guy's a joke, and it's a shame too, because Commander Northern. Look at the stats: naval 76, aggression 66. This is a top tier submarine captain. I would look to be putting that guy on any sub I had. But for whatever reason, he fumbled this attack so bad that he got his ship damaged, and we got nothing in return. So, Mr. Northern, you and I are going to have words when you get back to port, because that was unacceptable. So, yeah, that's the turn. Other than this Dutch sub being a complete failure and the loss of a ship or two, it wasn't the worst turn ever. So I can endure a few more like this. We definitely need to break to get our act together because we are just not prepared for this onslaught that we're dealing with. So let's hope for a few more turns like that. Let's hope that the Kido Butai stays right where it's at because right now I'm not worried about what it's doing. If it comes down this way, we're in real trouble. So let's watch this closely and see what he decides to do. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys for watching this campaign. I'm doing my very best here, but I'm up against the best of the best, and he not only is he the best of the best, he's playing with a scenario that favors him even more. So I'm really on an uphill battle. So if I am able to survive to 1943, that's a win in itself. I'll catch you guys on the next one.